Welcome to another episode of AI Product Leader. Every week we shine a light on what it takes to join the AI world. Real conversations with real AI builders, founders, product leaders, AI experts, technologists, and everything in between to understand where the world of AI is right now and what that path looks like, whether you're building AI products or a career in AI. Have a question or a topic? Email us at support@aicareerboost.com and join the conversation. I'm your host, Polly Allen, and I'm the founder of AI Career Boost, where I spend my time helping product leaders navigate the world of AI and thrive in AI leadership roles. And I spent my career on both the product management and software development sides of the product development fence. I'm an ex-Alexa AI principal product manager, where I successfully launched the very first generative AI answers on Alexa back in 2020. And I'm thrilled to welcome our guest today, Alex Vega. Alex Vega's career journey is as unique as it is inspiring. Starting as a hairstylist and educator, Alex transitioned into tech through a user experience design program at General Assembly and built a strong foundation in user-centered design. With a bachelor's in psychology from the University of San Francisco, Alex brings a deep understanding of human behavior to product management. With nearly a decade of experience in product leadership, specializing in early stage products, he's been exploring entrepreneurship and building an AI prototype that he built out as part of our AI Career Boost program for product leaders. Alex, thanks for coming. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into it. I'd love to chat about your background. As I mentioned, coming from like a hairstylist all the way to AI entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit about, your early days in your career and what sparked that interest in tech at first and then AI?
Yeah, it's gonna age me a bit, but it's all the way back when iPhones were new, the App Store was still new, um, and I was a hairstylist. I was one of those people that just like I had clients who were in tech, and when people would say, "Oh my God, I stayed up all night scouring the internet," I didn't know what they were talking about. Like, what do you do besides banking and Facebook? I had no idea. But in between clients on my phone, since apps were taking off, I started to play around with different things. Was really blown away by that ecosystem before I knew what that word meant. Uh, like many people, I had a problem I wanted to solve. That the software we used in the salon was terrible. I had no control over my schedule. I couldn't see my clients, access their information. So I started to work on an app idea and just casually talked about it with my tech clients until one of them was like, that's product design and product management. That's what I do. Like, are you interested in this? So that's what sparked the interest. I didn't create the app because it was at that point very expensive to do the things that are now easy to do, like integrate with Facebook. But throughout the course of it, I did my little sketches and designs and got put the idea in my head of whenever I would change careers, I wanted it to go into tech. And luckily, because of my clients at the time and them being super helpful and supportive, that's really a big reason I was able to learn about a program like General Assembly, go through the program, and then actually land some jobs afterwards. So super
Oh,
grateful for it.
amazing. So networking.
Yeah, I mean, surprise, surprise.
Huge. Well, I know, but some people still don't see that like as like, hey, get out there, right? You want to spend all your time inside building, and you're like, actually, you got to do both. So you were working as an experienced designer after that program in General Assembly, and then you did made the transition into product management. Was that a tough transition?
I knew I wanted to get into product management through that, even through that experience of trying to build out that app for when I was still doing hair. Um, it just seemed to be of the things I was doing. I was like, okay, I like these aspects the most. But at the time, General Assembly didn't have a product management course just yet, and also I wanted to gain another skill that I could use as part of the product management discipline. So I wanted to get some design chops in there. So that was more strategic. And then my first role outside of General Assembly was working for a wearables startup. And that's initially what I thought I wanted to get into. Is since I was already working in a tactile industry, I wanted to um, do some design for wearables. So that was actually a lot of fun. It was a e-ink display, like a cuff that you put around your wrist. Think of like an 80s slap bracelet or maybe 90s, with the wonderful constraints of an e-ink display. So here I am trying to design conceptual experiences for Evernote, Twitter, Spotify, but with black and white.
Yeah, and bendable slap on your wrist
Well, we
too.
didn't
That's
have, yeah, I was, it was really cool because I got to go with the design team to those companies and meet with the people that were handling their partnerships. And we were showing them that in black and white and without an actual physical working prototype. So just very thankful they took the meetings and allowed them.
Felt a little bit like hand puppets that
Yeah,
you're like, and then
yeah.
it'll
So
live.
that was its own experience. That was awesome. And then the very next role was in working at another small startup. I think I was the first product hire and be the sixth person, and that was a true startup experience within the advertising space of literally going from working with the founder in her kitchen, very nascent idea, to me doing the early non-elegant designs to um, really knowing I was going to be a PM there and kind of wearing both hats for a while until we brought in a more seasoned designer, and then just seeing all the fun stuff you do at startups, like wearing every hat, setting up every system, doing support, writing documentation. So I was there for, if I include contract work, probably about 5 or 6 years.
Oh wow. And was that what series like was that before Series A? What stage
I
was that?
got in there, bootstrapped, went to Series A. I think they had just gotten Series B, maybe just after I left. But yeah, went from from 6 people to 50-ish. So
Wow.
um,
Yeah. And you were in as the first PM.
yeah, and it was one of those experiences where normally startups, you hire the big guns to come in, right? And I was clearly not as experienced as my counterparts, who are all senior engineers, and definitely had long lasting imposter syndrome and having to Google phrases and acronyms on the side of every meeting, go home and research things. Like, I'm not sure what they were talking about, but I need to go home and figure this out so I can show up tomorrow and get things done.
I feel like that's the piece a lot of people miss that about tech, that it's like it's not about being smart, it's about like the tenacity to keep going when you're like, I haven't understood anything in 3 days.
Yeah, definitely. And I also was just naive enough and new enough where I would just ask anybody anything. And I think also I had a great mentor and friend who was still a friend. We're still both to these days, and he was there, and he was someone who was just like, just ask. Like, you need to get the job needs to get done. Like, doesn't matter who does it, doesn't matter how it gets done, it just needs to get done.
Hmm. Yeah, totally, exactly. And pragmatism wins out for sure. It's like I think a lot of the job of the product manager is just like figure out how to be useful in this context, right? Fantastic. Well, I'd love to know more too about your transition into AI. You've been building products now with AI, first prototype. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that prototype and how it evolved?
Yeah, it ties directly to my professional experience as well. Earlier in the year, I was part of a layoff at my previous company, where I was working in health tech and really loved the teams I was on, the products I was working on, as well as got a chance to do something which was new for me at the time, which was coach other PMs. So that was something that was really interesting and fun for me to do, and what got me in the door there. But unfortunately, that adventure ended earlier than I would have hoped, and uh, took some time getting into the job hunt grind, and that has even more so than I remember last time has really been a grind this last year. I'm very lucky that once again, people within my network were really helpful. My buddy has, a number of restaurants in San Francisco. He said, "Hey, opening a new restaurant should be super fun. Would you like to, help me do that?" So did that, and it's really been a great experience for many reasons. But it's given me a chance to reset, rethink, reevaluate, and revalue like how hard it is for people out there. And I work with other people who have multiple jobs who are going from one to the other, and then basically it fed into my project idea. Like, I had an idea for some sort of AI training tool for my previous industry, but without access to those users or to that data specifically, I couldn't really take that much further without a lot more work. Whereas I was experiencing the same issue working in a restaurant, which is I need to get up to speed as well as everyone else who's new here on the things that you don't know. Like, how do I describe these wines that are too expensive to open to taste? How do I pair things? I, how do I know which things are allergens within a menu without, how can I speed up the process of learning? And that's what gave me the idea for my capstone project for your course, and just became a and it's still been, it's just a fun thing to continue to work on, from everything from like me driving to work, literally asking my custom GPT through voice commands while I'm driving, like, hey, like X, Y, and Z question. Okay, give it to me as a quiz. Teach me to do what's this obscure ingredient that even our own like sheets about this, or even the menu doesn't even mention. Like, what is that in case a customer asks? Started with just being able to speak well about menu items, drinks, and food, and then it quickly became apparent. Like once I started putting putting the tool in people's hands at the restaurant, like, oh, there's other personas with other needs. Like my manager would want to see performance, some sort of performance against these like quizzes and tests, as well as like the servers themselves having different needs and asks. So it's been fun to see, to go from initial idea and V1 and proof of concept to now what I'm doing, or to what I'm doing now, which is using a bit more robust tools to actually put more of a front end through no code tools, more of a front end experience, and build out the feature set.
Um, you're talking about more robust tools, that kind of thing. What kind of tools do you originally built a custom GPT? What kind of more robust tools are you looking at?
Yeah, initially, I actually I wanted to compare the different experiences to see what I would even notice and what the capabilities or differences would be. So did nothing, uploaded PDFs of menus to ChatGPT, then did a custom GPT, did the same thing, then did an assistant with the OpenAI's Playground. And then once I had the assistant, used Agent Host to host that assistant, and then I could upload more documentation to that, so that I could then get all the benefits of getting the conversations that were coming back from the other service, the restaurant, as well as being able to embed it so I could do a demo. And then now where I'm at is been playing around with Bubble.io. Um, Great no code tool, great community and forum, and a lot of documentation to reference and leverage. Um, it's still a good amount of work. I'm still having that what is it blank page problem with, okay, I have all these features I want to do. Then I happened to stumble across Replit, saw a demo with their CEO going through, hey, this is literally idea to app within 5 minutes. It was really mind blowing. So I was like, you know what, let me try that too. And that has really been fascinating to play with. They had a beta feature called Agent where you can just use prompts to have them built out the front and back end and deploy it. I just deployed the latest version of this thing earlier today. It took less than 5 minutes. And then today as well, they just an inspiring company anyway, with the capabilities of their AI, but also just the way they rolled things out. It's out of beta today. They have a new pricing structure around it where it's like 25 cents per milestone that you can have the agent do. So a milestone today for me was like, hey, I want a new feature of allow my users to upload documents within a chat. It did that. It's doing that for the cost of 25 cents, which is itself mind blowing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That is wild. And then it's not like you have a programming background. These are tools that are writing the pro coding for
Yeah,
you.
no, I don't have a programming background at all. Like I can fiddle around with some HTML, a tiny bit of SQL when I need to and have to. But I was nervous to even try Replit for that very reason of like, am I technical enough to even play around with this? But for my usage, going from idea to a visual that I can see and a prototype I can play with. If my next step is I need to use that to do further work in a no code tool that I'm more familiar with from a design perspective, like Bubble, it's already worth it right there. It's gotten me past the blank page problem.
Totally. Exactly. And you have gotten to the point where you've got feedback from people at your restaurant using it, right?
Yeah, it's I think it's definitely very exciting in the beginning, and like everything else, things taper off. But that was
Momentum.
yeah.
Momentum.
I mean, it's also I think there's a learning curve to get over, and once you get past that, and you're comfortable. It's more of like one of those products where you would really need it and want it in the beginning, and then I have other ideas about what would keep it relevant throughout the course of things. Menus always change, updates always happen, things always run out. So it might not be the case that the the servers themselves are going to be the most active on this. There's other personas I'm thinking of that would probably be more interested in engaging with the product more often for different reasons.
Oh, gotcha. Very cool. I think that's what always emerges too. It's like there's all these new jobs to be done that come out that you're like, we have a hypothesis that this is the best value I can deliver. And then when you get it out in the real world, all of a sudden actually slightly better over here, right? So that's why it's nice not to have spent, delivered a whole product with the dev team on your V1
And that's
hypothesis,
once
right?
again what's so fun about, I guess, with design before and creating prototypes. They took longer to do for sure, but it's that same like shortcut to magic kind of thing where like let's just have something you can engage with and interact with. And now it's just the tools have gotten so much better where I can actually share these out, collect the conversations. Yeah, yeah, it's really fascinating to be
Do
at this
some
point in time right
evaluation.
now.
Amazing. So you've gone in a very short time from, again, no technical programming background to building, iterating on your own prototypes, getting them out there, deploying to prod in Replit. When you were first interested in gaining these AI skills, how did you get started?
I think, well, I think I know. I was at the time like a lot of PMs. You're seeing all of your tools start to have AI, filter into the products themselves. Things like Notion, things like Asana, things like Linear as well. Um, and I always knew I was like, I got to get around to spending time and getting my hands dirty with AI at some point. Um, and it was just a good forcing function that I stumbled upon your other course on Reforge. I wanted a structured way to do it. I think what I was nervous about, or maybe a lot of people are nervous about, is just it's such a big topic. It's seemingly so many things are out there. Who do you listen to? What's going to be for me? I'm trying to be careful about the things I ingest and the things I pick up and learn from. So I wanted to be you know choosy about where to start. So I took your previous course in Reforge. I think it was idea to app or MVP to idea or something that
I did
there we go.
MVP. There we go.
And I really liked the structured, focused way that it was laid out. And so that's why I ended up taking your other course shortly thereafter. That's really when I got deeper into okay, now my focus is going to be how do I learn this new technology in a way that makes sense for me in a structured way with something that has an outcome that's tangible and actionable, which was my project, our capstone project. And it's just also been a good reset for me as a as a product person. Like, okay, now I'm only going to leverage tools that have these capabilities. I'm going to be more mindful of how I even use these new tools within my workflows and my own little tech stack.
Yeah. Do you find that? Are you finding new tools all the time that accelerate you as a PM as well as part of this journey?
Yeah, actually, I there's two in particular that I've been doing a lot of comparative stuff, which is both good and bad. You can be kind of a slowdown when you it can be a couple little it can be a slowdown when you let things go too far down one track or two tracks. But I like trying out different tools that I hear about for the same types of capabilities. Like if PRD generation, I've got one spin up with Chat PRD versus I've got my Notion up with Reforge's extension, and it's really fascinating to see the differences in how they would assess the same thing. And then someone who's now thinking about how to build with AI, just the considerations that they have made and decisions they have made to give those to even like train their AI to give those types of answers and differences. So it's pretty fascinating. I think it's along the lines of that level of customization that I think AI is really going to unlock for everybody down the road. Like we're going to be experiencing things individually at some point.
Right. A filter bubble of one all of a sudden, right? Yeah, it's pretty wild. Oh my gosh. Any top tool recommendations while we're talking about tools?
Let's see. Replit, you just got to try. Just get an idea and just see what it spits out. And just watching it code is pretty fascinating. Another thing similar but different is I think V0 or VO.
Yeah. V0.dev,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's same kind of experience of watching something code, but in a more like this is what I did step by step, just in case. Kind of almost like more of a teaching you how to go about doing it. Yeah, Reforge, I mentioned the extension. They have a great series on how they built the extension, and I've always enjoyed their, them as a product, them as a group of people who are trying to put better practices out there. And it was something I leveraged heavily when I was taking on additional kind of managerial duties in addition to IC stuff. So um, those are the main tools. I think I've hit
That's
everything.
great.
Yeah.
Those are great suggestions. And about the Reforge one in particular, it's so interesting to have something you find useful to use it and then also get the behind the scenes of how it's built,
Yeah,
right?
that
Like,
was really cool. I mean, they have such a, I think probably some of the heaviest hitters in terms of the product community, adding to that corpus of work. So, from my understanding, like the way they've trained their own AI, their own AI is really, with some of the best practitioners out there.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Very, very useful tool for sure. Fantastic. Well, Alex, I love hearing about how far you've come. This is so fantastic. If you were to boil down your advice to anyone who is just getting started with AI and they're looking for that first step, where to start, what advice would you give them?
Uh, Make the unknown known. Make things smaller. Take 5 minutes, build something quick, or shortcut it like I do all the time and watch a video of someone else demoing their own workflow or their own usage of something, which is a long way of saying, just find something to be inspired by and see if you can replicate it or tear it down in some way.
Nice. Oh, I like that. Whether it's like your strength might be analysis or your strength might be building, like do what's comfortable for you is that first step. I love it. That's really great advice. That's awesome. Excellent. So we only have time for one more segment, and that is plugs. Do you have anything you want to plug, Alex?
Yeah, I know I've mentioned all my newest favorite toys of tools, but I will say since I'm in the job hunt mode, and for your listeners, uh, I will say some job hunting tools and places to go to support. I think Teal HQ is a really well designed product. They have a new, like, it's basically you can ingest things from LinkedIn and populate your own Kanban of your jobs. And they also have just really great advice on resume writing and how to present yourself. And they also have launched their own AI, which is an AI like interviewer, which is I played around with a little bit. It's actually pretty fascinating. So I continue to play with that. The other thing I would say is ADP list. If you need a place to go to speak to someone, there's a lot of people, a lot of great people there who are really generous with their time, with their advice. It doesn't cost anything, and then you can turn around and pay it forward again once you feel like being a mentor yourself. So I'd say as a community, that's a cool resource to know about.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so great to find these generous communities right now. There's so many people who are in this situation. For so many people I talk to looking, I wish I could just get a tattoo that's like, it's not you on my forehead for people, because I know how stressful it can be to feel like you're not making any forward progress. So finding a community, finding a supportive community can just be a game changer just for your mental state as a start, never mind networking, etc. So thanks for those resources. That's awesome. Yeah, on my end, I'd love to plug. We have another version of the masterclass. We have a free masterclass we do at AI Career Boost, the Path to AI Product Leadership. It's been revamped for 2025. So we have the next one linked if you want to come and join us. It's a free 1 hour. And we will be offering our new version of that same class Alex did. So the idea to MVP. It's now called Mastering AI Strategy. Getting from ideas to MVP. And it's on Maven. So we're running that in 2025 there. So if you want to get started, it's a great way to get your hands on, understand exactly the first steps that you take to build your first AI project, get hands on, find something small, scope it. If you'd like our help doing that, that's the place to get started there. Finally, I'd love to plug the podcast. So if you love hearing more stories of people who are working in AI, how they got there, and inspirational stories from people with different backgrounds, then please make sure you like and subscribe. Give us the 5 stars and a rating that keeps us on the air and gets us promoted to new listeners as well. So that's our episode for today, AI Product Leader. Thanks so much for joining, Alex. I really appreciate it. It was so great to hear your story, and it's so exciting to see where you're taking this project. I can't wait to see where it goes next.
Cool. My pleasure. Thanks, Polly.